If a loved one comes and gives you a hug, has the same impact, puts their arms around you, holds you close, your emotional feeling is completely different. Maybe the best way to illustrate that, you know, at the end of the day, there is still a box, right? You can't write on the wall. And I'm pretty sure he was going to write "Go Fly a Kite." Wasn't that your assumption? I told a lie. I want to give you guys one last example. One last example. You know, so often we've been trained. Even those of us who are vice presidents or department heads, we've been trained mostly to think we're helpless. Mostly to think that we cannot go and start to reinvent that management model. That the way we do HR and the way we run our IT organization, our finance, like these things like, you know, the big staff people control it, we really can't do much. But again, if you look at the web, you see the power of activism. You see what happens when you give people a voice. Last example I want to share with you. One of the largest, most complex organizations in the world is Britain's National Health Service. And I lived in England for a long time, and you know, it's very well respected at one level. At another level, it's so inefficient, 1.2 million employees. Patient care is often the last thing people think about. They've had mandate after mandate from the top, from the center, from government to improve things. A lot of consultants in, nothing has really seemed to work. Beginning of last year, January of last year, a couple of improvement experts, internal experts, about 5 levels down, and some trainee doctors said, we want to change this. This just sucks. We're going to change it. And without anybody's permission, they launched something they called the Change Day, right? They didn't ask anyone, no permission. We're just going to go do this. They launched something called the Day of Change, and the idea was really simple. It was going to run over 3 months from beginning of January to mid-March, conclude on the 65th anniversary of the NHS, and they were going to ask people, colleagues across their whole network, to come up with one commitment, one idea that they could execute in their own role to improve patient care. And they were hoping they'd get 65,000 commitments, which that's a crazy goal. But anyway, 65,000 commitments for the 65th birthday. They wanted to have this happen on a social platform, obviously. They knew if they asked internal IT, it'd be a year. So they went outside, found a little platform, and started their viral marketing campaign. By the middle of January, they had a few hundred commitments. By the end of January, crossed 1,000. By the middle of February, 4,000. When they ended in March, they had 187,000 commitments. Typical commitment came from a group of nurses on a ward who said, every week with their permission, we'll do a little video interview with our patients. We'll ask them for their ideas on how they improve productivity, how they improve patient care, what can we do differently. You multiply that 187,000 times over. Those people were hacking the NHS. They were not anarchists, they were activists. They loved their business, their organization, they loved the difference they make, but they were not willing to believe that they were helpless. You know, today anybody comes to me and says, Gary, how do we change our organization? I say, go sideways before you go up. Build a network, get to your peers. But I tell you, we are at a point in business history where, you know, the means may be evolutionary, one step at a time. Right? I'm not asking anybody to sacrifice their career. I'm not saying let's go blow up. It's one experiment, one thing at a time. But we're at a point in business history where you have to be able to imagine a radical alternative to the status quo. I'm not a Catholic, but I was very, very interesting watching the new Pope. Some say he may end up being the most influential Pope in 1,000 years. I don't know. But he was giving a speech a little while ago to a Jesuit magazine. I think it was September of last year. I want you to listen to what he said. Just a simple little thing. He said, heads of church, sorry, let me bring the quote up, if I can. He said, our heads of church have often been narcissists, flattered and thrilled by their courtiers. The court is the leprosy of the papacy. This Vatican-centered vision neglects the world around it, and I will do everything to change it. Now, I understand he has a job for life. Okay, right? But can you imagine your CEO standing up and saying, if I can just restate, past CEOs have often been narcissists, flattered and thrilled by their EVPs, Head office staffers are the leprosy of our organization. A top-down model ignores the world around it, and I will do everything to change it. Can you imagine saying it? You know, the other day I put something up on Twitter. I challenge people, if you're serious about this, copy this down and post it. I just ginned this up, but copy down and put this in your office. This is a bureaucracy-free zone. Petty-fogging desk jockeys, butt-kissing suck-ups, meddling head office stoolies, half-witted bean counters, self-important staff weenies, sadistic bosses, and pencil-pushing blowhards we name, shame, and run off the property. Now, I don't know if you really should do that. But I want you to leave here today believing that it's possible to create organizations that are different from the ones that have predominated for the last 150 years. Why do we believe that we can have this fundamental disruptive change, this revolution in operating models and business models and not management models? I don't know. But I can tell you, you cannot build anymore a company that's truly fit for the future without building one that's fit for human beings. And that's why control and freedom, we have to learn that these things must coexist. We're going to have to step by step reinvent the way we lead, manage, and organize. I'm sure that the organizations who start early, who work harder at migrating, evolving their management models, these are going to be the companies that win in the future. And I hope that you're one of those organizations. I thank you for your time. Good luck.
High energy presentation.